The opinions expressed in this show are the views of the host and not necessarily that of WTRW, 94.3 The Talker, or the Bold Gold Media Group.
The following presentation is paid for by Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate, who is solely responsible for its content. Portions transcribed.
All Century 21 real estate offices are independently owned and operated.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker of Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. Welcome to the Real Estate Roundtable on 94.3 FM The Talker. I'm here with my husband, co-host, fellow realtor, who is not going to ask how I'm doing today.
Well, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Right.
We come here in different cars. People think, we're just, but
and
we really
some
do.
mornings we barely see each other, and that's the God's honest truth. Eric Waddell, owner of Integrity Chimney Service, is here with us today.
Hi there.
Hi, you're a chimney and fireplace expert.
That's me.
And this is the time of year that we're thinking about these things and using them. So thank you for coming and joining us on the Real Estate Roundtable today. We're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. where we cover many real estate topics. We've been listing, selling, and appraising real estate for 50 years.
During the week, feel free to email us with any questions you have at questions@jruddy.com. That's questions@jruddy.com. Or you can give us a call at 570-344-6724. And when you go to jruddy.com, click on the webcam tab and see what's going on at Dunmore Corners.
Check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest. View our listings, search the MLS listings, and listen to archived radio shows by going to mobilefriendlyjruddy.com, JRUDDY.com, which also has all our podcast apps that we're featured on. You can always catch the Real Estate Roundtable as a podcast if you so choose. Okay, Eric Waddell, owner of Integrity Chimney Service. You're based out of Jefferson Township.
That's true.
How long have you been doing what you do? Where do you go? Tell me a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah. Integrity Chimney Service has existed since 2017. I've been doing this work longer than that. I've been started doing this as a teenager, just working weekends and summers.
Okay.
But we service the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area and the Greater Pocono area as well.
Okay. A lot of people have fireplaces, and a lot of people have chimneys. So let's talk about, this time of year, I'm often given reminders, emails, things that homeowners need to do and check. So I have this list of just 6 items. One is, at this time of year, wash your bed pillows, right?
Yep.
Clean your mattress, insulate your windows. So you're getting ready for the winter by insulating your windows, stock up on snow supplies, trim tree branches. I'm sure you did that for the lilac bushes.
Yeah.
Number 6 is get a chimney sweep to inspect the fireplace.
Absolutely.
Okay. Talk to me about what we need to be inspecting and how often.
Okay.
Please.
So the National Fire Protection Agency recommends that any chimney or fireplace be inspected once per heating season. So once per year, in other words.
Okay. So if you use your fireplace every day or once a month, you should still do it once a year. If you're using it more, should you maybe inspect it a little bit more?
According to the standard, annually inspecting it is sufficient. If you're using it heavily, you might find that it needs to be cleaned more often than that. But for most modern systems where things are burning the way they should be, once a year is going to be enough.
Okay. So despite having a gas fireplace versus a wood-burning fireplace, or is there a difference?
They're maintained in different ways, yes, but as far as how often they should be looked at and how often they should be maintained, it's still once a year. Once per heating season.
Okay, so that's simple. All right. So what are you looking for on your inspection? What do you look at?
We would inspect all the working parts of the fireplace, or if it's a freestanding stove, it'll depend what it is, but generally the flue, the outside structure of the chimney, the cap, if the chimney meets the roof, where it meets the roof to make sure there's no leaks, and make sure there's not any kind of wood or other combustible material where there shouldn't be, like too close to where the fire happens, that it could cause a safety hazard.
Okay.
Make sure everything is working smoothly.
So there's things outside and inside
Yes.
that you have to look at.
Yes.
Okay. So from the ground, how could you tell the condition of the chimney? Is there any
dead giveaways
There
when you're looking
definitely are some tells. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some tells. If you have a masonry chimney, brick or block or any kind of parging, any kind of staining or cracks or missing material, that's a pretty plain giveaway that something else is going on. Usually it means water has started to get in somewhere that water should not be. If you have a different style of chimney, some people have a wooden chimney chase or a metal chimney. And same thing, one of the biggest things we're looking for is just water. Make sure water is staying where it's supposed to be and not getting inside anywhere where it can cause damage. And then, of course, on the inside of the chimney, we want to look and make sure that any kind of soot or any kind of exhaust is staying in the vent, and then it's then transferring out of the vent outside and not getting stuck inside.
A lot of times we're looking up at chimneys. I'm looking at a house, and I look up, and in my neighborhood, there's a lot of brick chimneys, and some of them are in not good shape.
Oh, yeah.
You could spot them. I mean, when you're looking at the house, it looks great, but if you take the time and you really look closely, some of them are in need of some help.
Attention.
Yes,
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you'd see crumbling bricks or mortar or something coming off a chimney, right?
Yep.
But you don't always know if there's a bird's nest from the ground level,
Sure.
right? So, and that's a concern too.
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of, even squirrels sometimes will nest in a chimney, sometimes bats. Yeah, that's where a chimney cap comes into play. That makes a big difference.
Jackie hates bats.
I don't know.
We had a bat incident at the house, and she's scarred. So
Forever. Yeah, there's no going back.
there's no going back to that
the
one.
pretty bad situation. Okay. How about when there's trees around a house and they go over the roof and the chimney? That's not a good idea, right? Trim those tree branches.
Yeah, you don't want them too close. Technically anything within a 10-foot radius should not be above the chimney. The chimney should stand 2 feet above any kind of tree, any surrounding the roof or the siding or anything like that. And part of the reason for that is that you wouldn't want sparks or any kind of ember or any hot material coming out of the chimney to be able to get to something that can burn, like a tree or the roof.
Okay. And of course, the flashing is important. When we see home inspections, one of the most common remarks from a home inspector is usually the flashing is in need of
Around the chimney.
Around the chimneys, it needs to be redone. So, okay. And from the inside, you're looking up, right? So you want to make sure that the flue damper opens, closes, and seals.
Yes.
How often do you find problems with dampers?
That is a very common problem. Yeah, that the damper's missing, the damper's not working well. And sometimes, even if the damper is present, if it's, depending on the initial design, it may not seal very tightly. And so even when it's closed, you're getting a lot of cold air. The warm air from the house is going out. In a lot of ways, a damper that doesn't work correctly is very similar to having a window open in your house all the time.
Drafty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from an energy perspective, having your damper working correctly makes a big, big difference with your heating costs.
So what is a damper? Is it a piece of metal in the chimney that tilts back and forth and closes?
Usually, yep. It depends on your system. Sometimes they're like a valve. Sometimes they're like an accordion, actually, where they spring open and shut like an accordion. So it just depends on what sort of fireplace you have. There's a lot of newer designs for dampers where they seal at the very top of the chimney rather than sealing at the top of the fireplace opening. And those are really helpful because it makes it easier to start the fire. If you go to start your fire on a cold day and you have what's called a throat damper, that's at the top of the fireplace opening, you want the smoke to rise up through the chimney, but the chimney might be 20 feet tall or taller, and it's full of cold air. So there's like a 20-foot tall column of 25-degree outside air that's in the way, and that smoke wants to rise, but it can't get through that. So if you can install one, a flue top damper is very helpful for that, because now the chimney is sealed at the very top, and that 20-foot tall area is full of warm house air. And when the smoke, you start a fire and the smoke goes up, it's able just to go through there and then go right outside. And that can help a lot with not having smoke spill back into the room when you're first starting your fireplace. Fireplaces smoke the most when they first start. And sometimes you'll see like a dark stain around the fireplace opening. That's typically what that's from. It's from that smoke spilling back into the house. But sometimes people don't realize that once the fire gets going, that will change and it will burn the way they want it to burn. They see the smoke come in initially and they get scared and they want to stop. But priming the flue in some way or having a flue top damper can be very helpful to make sure that doesn't happen.
I was looking at houses with a family member a couple of years ago, and there was this big, grand, beautiful house, and it had a couple of fireplaces, and it was cold, and you'd walk past the fireplace, and you could actually feel like the draft coming down. And I was like, oh, boy. So what they had done was they must have been the damper was screwy, and then they had a glass door in front of it, too, to try and keep the temperature a little warmer. I remember I went to my friend Mario's house up in Oneonta, and we were going hunting a long time ago, and he said, start a fire. So, just didn't go well. So I go over, I put everything, he told me what to do, put it in the fireplace, I lit it, and it was this huge room, and the room was full of smoke.
Yep.
And it was coming down. Obviously, I didn't open the damper, but I didn't know you had to open the damper.
Well, how would you know?
But he came over it after, some yelling and screaming, and then he opened the damper, and then it all lifted. But I'm very gun shy after that around fireplaces. I thought I was going to burn the house down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary to not know how to use them and to see the fire. There's fire in your living room, fire right inside your house. If it's not working correctly, it can be scary.
Well, how many times do people buy a house and they have no idea?
Absolutely.
Right? So this happens. And one of the things in real estate is it's common that a seller's selling a home and hasn't used that fireplace in many, many years.
Right.
Right? And then the home inspector that comes in that inspects the structural and radon and wood infestation, they don't check the fireplace. They may look at it, but they're not burning a fire. They're not, putting firewood in there and starting it up.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories of people, they're so excited, young people, and they have a fireplace and they move into the house and they put everything in the fireplace and they start it and they burn the house down, So you got to know.
It shows the importance of the inspection. And like you said, many home inspectors will exclude a fireplace from their inspection report. Sometimes they write it off and say this is a specialty item. We don't.
Right.
We're not trained to properly inspect this and tell you how to care for it. So we actually offer, and many chimney companies offer inspection that is specifically for a real estate transaction. And it goes back to the National Fire Protection Agency. It's what they outline as being the correct inspection process, and they call it a level 2 inspection. So an NFPA or National Fire Protection Agency level 2 inspection, that's what they recommend anytime a house is transferred. So either the buyer or the seller would want to complete that inspection and just see what's going on with the fireplace.
Well, what if someone calls you just to clean the fireplace? They bought a new house, they just want to clean because it hasn't been used before they operate it. Can they clean it?
Cleaning is usually a good idea. Interestingly, the standard of care in the National Fire Protection Agency, they don't specify an interval for chimney cleaning. They specify an interval for chimney inspection because cleaning will depend on use. If you use the fireplace once a year, many years could go by where there's not a sufficient amount of buildup that it requires a cleaning. But every time you use that fireplace, there's some level of inherent risk. So the inspection is really important. So everyone does things differently. We personally will not clean a chimney without inspecting it first. We primarily, the way that we have set ourselves up is we charge primarily actually for the inspection process. That's where our skill is. That's the knowledge that we have. We're spending our time driving out to the house, looking things over, taking things apart. That's primarily what a customer pays for. And then while we are on site, if the chimney does need to be cleaned, we're equipped to do that at the same time. But a cleaning
is not to be in place of an inspection.
No, absolutely not. No, the inspection is really what can help to make sure the fireplace is safe.
Got it. So they're two separate items.
They definitely work in harmony with each other. And one thing is sometimes if a fireplace is very dirty, there's really not a way to do a thorough inspection without the cleaning. If the inside is buried under 3 inches of soot, then you can't see anything to inspect until it's cleaned out. So they definitely go together, but we put the emphasis on the inspection because that's what allows us to make sure people are safer.
Safety, yes, safety first. Okay. Eric Waddell, owner of Integrity Chimney Service, fireplace and chimney expert. How does someone get in touch with you?
You can give us a call. The phone number is 570-591-1753. You can look us up online, integritychimneyservice.com. We're on Facebook. We're also on Home Advisor.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Pat, would you like to review a listing, please?
Yes, we have a beautifully maintained 4-bedroom, 2-bath home at 903 Richmond Street in the Greenwich section of Scranton for $199,000. This lovely home, it's got beautifully remodeled baths. It's got a newer kitchen with plenty of space with granite countertops and stainless steel appliances. This home, it's an older home. It's got the 2 staircases to the second floor. That's pretty cool. There's plenty of original charm and woodwork. It's got a fireplace. It's also got a rear deck, a newer roof, and a furnace, and a walk-up attic that could easily be finished for additional living space. That's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home at 903 Richmond Street in Scranton for only $199,000, and that's listed by Phoebe Keating of our office.
Thank you, Pat. I have the Greater Scranton Board of Realtors multi-list statistics for single-family homes that's sold in the last 30 days.
What do you got?
Okay, median sales price. 2 bedrooms or less. The median sales price is $139,500. For 3 bedrooms, the median sales price is $163,000, and for 4 or more bedrooms, the median sales price is $229,000. Condos that have sold in the last 30 days, condominiums. Now, this data includes Lackawanna, Luzerne, Monroe, Pike, Wayne, and Wyoming County for both the single-family homes and the condos. The median sales price for 2 bedrooms or less on a condo is $241,000, and for 3 bedrooms, the median sales price is $279,000. How did people pay for these properties in the last 30 days? 25.5% all cash.
Cash.
48% conventional mortgage, 20% FHA, that's the Federal Housing Administration mortgage, and 5.5% were the VA, the veterans.
FHA numbers have really shrunk. There used to be a lot more.
A lot more. So that's very telling. And I know that multiple offers and, people with the FHA financing were losing out time and time again. But that'll come back. We'll see. We'll be back in a few moments with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.
The talented team of professionals at Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate. They're not just real estate agents, they're agents of change. They're on a never-ending quest for the best for you and your family. They can help you find precisely what you want at this time in your life. A computer, a website, an app, and a listing by itself can't do that. They're obsessed with better and deliver extraordinary, embracing the what if, not just the what's been done before, with a level of accountability and honesty not found anywhere else in the real estate industry. Don't settle for average, okay, or just all right. This change in your life is monumental, and there's only one Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate that will help you rock that change. Call 570-344-6724 and visit jruddy.com, JRUDDY.com. Each Century 21 office is independently owned and operated.
We're back with more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker. Pat Devaney, my husband, fellow realtor, is with me.
And we're back.
I'm Jackie Ruddy, broker. We're with Eric Waddell, owner of Integrity Chimney Service, our fireplace and chimney expert. Thank you for being here with us. We're talking about the importance of inspections and chimney inspections, fireplace inspections. You provide that service, and you will do the inspection and cleaning, but you will not do cleaning without an inspection.
Exactly.
All right.
Oh, wait, DC was telling a great story of how his father, he's our producer, how his father used to clean the chimney. He would take a rock, wrap it in a rag, and drop it down the chimney. Is that what you guys do? That's not what you
Not
do, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Not exactly.
Okay, we're good. No, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jackie. I didn't mean to do that.
I was going to ask what's the cost for this service?
Yeah. So we primarily charge for the inspection process. Like I said before, a typical inspection for us is $210. So when we're on site, if the chimney does need to be cleaned, the total cost between the two of them is typically about $260.
Okay. So what if during this inspection process you find living, breathing,
We're dead.
or dead animals, birds?
What do you do? Because I know I've opened up doors on chimneys and
Yeah.
looked, and Rocky the squirrel has been there for a couple of
Yes.
months. So
It happens. It happens. There's some species of bats and birds that really specifically like to live in chimneys and fireplaces. There's a bird called a chimney swift, and they typically make their nest inside the chimney flue. A lot of those different creatures are actually federally protected. So carcass is one thing, and it might depend on the situation, but if it's a live animal, we do not touch that. If you find a live animal in your chimney or you hear sounds that you know there's a live animal in your chimney, you really want to call like a pest control company because they're qualified to deal with a living animal and to figure out how to get it removed. And once they are out, we can come behind them and make sure that the fireplace is okay. But we're really not qualified to deal with live animals.
you probably shouldn't open the flue to see what's up in
Well,
there because Rocky might be
it might
running
join
around
you
the
in your living room.
That'd make a great TikTok, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess so. TikTok's the thing these days, right?
Yep.
Okay. So do you have statistics for me that you'd like to share with our listeners? I'd like to hear
Well,
them,
speaking of dropping a rock down your chimney, these numbers just came out, but they're for the years 2016 through 2018. The Consumer Product Safety Commission tells us that there were 16,200 on average structural fires a year because of chimneys and fireplaces. That was through 2016 to 2018.
Yeah, I was a New York City fireman. One of the first jobs I went to was a guy lit his fireplace up, and it hadn't been used for years, and everything was fine in the living room, but upstairs it got out and it was burning up. It was burning upstairs.
Yeah, and those numbers, that's structure fire. So that's not just a chimney fire alone. That's the structure of the home was damaged. That led to $115 million a year in property loss. That was in the United States.
That's big number, 16,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and that emphasizes the importance of the inspection over just a chimney cleaning. Because a chimney cleaning, someone comes in, they run a brush through the flue, and they may get all the soot out, but that's not to say that there's not some other hazard with the fireplace or with the system. It could have been something with the way it was built years ago, and it's been that way for a long time, but over time, things can deteriorate more. I know of several instances, some even in this local area, where people were having regular chimney cleanings performed, but there was some other issue. For example, maybe a piece of framing for the house was too close to the chimney. It was inside or under the fireplace. And the cleaning inspection, or the cleaning process, I should say, doesn't catch that. They don't know that. They say, okay, it's clean, we'll see you next year. But without the inspection, it wasn't caught. And these people, they actually had their houses burned down.
So when you're inspecting, and we talked about this in the first half, you're looking at, outside, the issues, chimney, so on and so forth. Inside, you're looking up the chimney. Is a mirror and a flashlight enough to look up that chimney?
Once in a great while, you will find a chimney where that is enough. But many times you need more than that. So we mentioned before the Fire Protection Agency, they have what they consider a level 1 inspection and a level 2 inspection. So level 1 is a little bit more straightforward. There's not as much going on. It's more of what you would think of as just a visual look at the system. And according to them, that would be acceptable if the chimney's been inspected more in depth in the past. Nothing's really changed with it. This is like a year-to-year thing. We know everything's good. We're just kind of double-checking to make sure nothing has changed. But in most instances, especially if you're buying or selling a house, it would be a level 2 inspection. And that involves actually using a camera system that is designed to run through the flue and look at the entire thing on the inside, like a 360-degree view of the flue from top to bottom. And it's amazing what that will show, or what it can show, that you would never in a million years see just looking up with a flashlight.
Gotcha. Now, what about the actual surround, the fireplace, surround, hearth, firebox? What are you looking for there when you're inspecting it?
Some common things we would check for would be if you have a fire brick or a metal box where you burn the fire, look for any cracks in that. If it's metal, look for any rust or any kind of perforations in it or heat contortion. A really common thing that we see in this area is sometimes under the firebox floor, there'll be some kind of wood, like a piece of plywood or something. That's a really important thing to check for because that really should not be there. Another thing to check is the hearth extension. So if you have a little shelf that sits in front of the firebox opening, that is supposed to be at a certain depth for it to be safe. It shouldn't have any kind of cracks or voids in it. Those are some common ones.
Okay. And then, of course, obvious signs of moisture. What does that usually indicate if it's inside the firebox? A faulty cap?
It could be the cap. It could also be the outside masonry area of the chimney. Water does so much damage to a fireplace, and that's a big part of maintaining a fireplace is stopping the water from getting in the first place. It starts at the very top flat part of the chimney is where water will start to come in, and it starts to work its way down from there. And inside the house, you may see some kind of staining at the ceiling level where the ceiling and the wall meet, or you might see on the face of the fireplace, if there's brick or there's stone, you could see staining of some sort, like a white staining. Sometimes on the back wall of the firebox, if you see any kind of rust. Sometimes even when it rains, you might even hear like a dripping sound, that there's some water dripping down on the inside. Those are all signs that most likely the water's coming in where the cap is, and a different kind of cap or some kind of sealant may need to be put on the very top of the fireplace.
So this applies to both wood-burning fireplaces and gas fireplaces.
Absolutely.
The same thing. It's the same. Okay.
Well, people often want a gas fireplace because they're low maintenance, but it doesn't mean they're no maintenance.
A gas fireplace often has moving components, electrical components. I mean, those things require maintenance, and they can fail. So they burn cleaner often than a wood fireplace will, so there's less emissions, and there may be less buildup. But from a maintenance perspective, there's an ignition, there's other things that need to be checked and maintained in order for it to work correctly, and they may need replaced over time.
We have a gas fireplace, but we built it with the house about 10, 15 years ago, and it's a metal box, and it's just got the chimney just goes straight out the back. It just goes, right. It's about 3 feet. If it's 3 feet long, that's a lot. So what would you have to do with something like that? Just keep an eye on it, make sure
the igniter needs to be checked.
Yeah, the ignition, I mean, that highlights the importance of the inspection process and just making sure there's not any kind of buildup. If you noticed any change in the way it operated, that would also be a really good clue. Sometimes if a pilot light starts to go out over a period of time, it doesn't stay on consistently, or if it's not wanting to light, or if the appearance of the flame changes in any way when it's burning, if the flame starts to look a little too rich, like it has dark orange tips in the flame or something changes like that, that might be an indication that you'd want to have someone look at it and make sure that it's still working the way it's supposed to.
Have it serviced. Okay.
Yeah.
Eric Waddell, owner of Integrity Chimney Service. How does someone get in touch with you, please?
You can give us a call. Phone number is 570-591-1753. You can also look us up online, integritychimneyservice.com.
Thank you. Will you come back next week? We'd like to talk to you
Absolutely.
more about. Okay, thank you. Pat?
Yes, we have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath ranch-style home at 105 Ridgeview Drive in Dunmore for $169,000. This home it's in a prime location near Penn State Worthington campus with breathtaking views. There's hardwood floors and carpeted floors, and there's new flooring in the kitchen, and the kitchen also has a new tile backsplash. This home is 1,200 square feet, and it also has a finished lower level with an additional bathroom. Parking will never be a problem here because it's got a built-in one-car garage and a detached garage with access from the rear alley. That's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home, at 105 Ridgeview Drive in Dunmore for only $169,000. And that's listed by Dan Callahan of our office.
And join us next Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. for more Real Estate Roundtable with Century 21 Jack Ruddy Real Estate on 94.3 FM The Talker.